Turn it down, Donna. Good afternoon and welcome to a very special episode. It's not 6:05, it's not virtual coffee with Con, but it is Con, and I'm here with you and hoping that you're well and that you will. Can we get rid of that echo? There's a bit of an echo there. It must be the sound of the computer. Anyway, it's a little bit confusing. I'm hearing myself on repeat, and it's a bit of a hassle. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you if you're joining us live on Facebook through our Facebook page and also through YouTube, no less. Yes, we're streaming live through YouTube and Twitter. As I say, and I keep saying it, Twitter decided to sink the Periscope platform, but now they have reinstated it. And I don't know why. I don't know if anyone watches video on Twitter these days. Do they? Let us know. I really appreciate it. Also, let us know if you're new to this particular channel. You're probably not new to Donna's channel. Donna is very, very active, our very special guest. She's very, very active on the social media scene, and she's doing some wonderful things. And that's why I figured that we should have her on and to discuss, well, men's skincare and all manner of things. Just a little bit about Donna, and I know that this is a moment where I get to embarrass her, but seeing I haven't got her on the screen, I can do all I like, can't I? Donna is an incredible woman. She is originally from Canada, and we won't hold that against her because I love Canadians personally. She is a biochemist and studied biochemistry, human biochemistry no less, at the University of Ottawa, where she gained accolades and postdoctoral theses, awards, you name it. She's done it. Her particular area of expertise was inflammation due to foreign bodies. Make of that what you will. I'll probably be asking a little bit about that and see exactly what inflammation due to foreign bodies is all about, although I have a sneaking suspicion. She's been awarded a number of, as I said, a number of awards, including wait for this, the Prime Minister's Science Award. This is something that I'm sure she's very, very proud of, as we are proud of her for achieving that. And she's worked at the, I think it's the Australian Institute of Bioengineering and Nanotechnology. So she's a nanotechnologist. Good, she'll be able to deal with this. It's very nano at the moment. Yes. Anyway, I shouldn't use self-deprecating behaviour or comments like that because it sort of can be quite off-putting. Anyway, without further ado, let me switch into my interview mode. That's what I'm doing now. This is the interview mode. And I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful, the amazing, the beautiful Dr. Donna Marçal. Hi, Donna.
Hi, thank you, Con. That was a very lovely introduction, and you had me giggling over here too.
It's so good. It's so good to have you on this live. I will admit to people though that we're actually a lot closer than may at first appear.
I was going to say, you might want to tell people how the relationship and how we know each other.
We're next door neighbours, aren't we?
We are. But because of COVID, we're kind of keeping in our own spaces so we can have masks off.
Yes. We're having a technical difficulty, but that's okay because I know how to fix it. So what I'm going to do is turn all of that browser off. Thank you. That's it. Done. Now, can you hear me okay now?
I can hear you.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. So we can turn the volume back up. If we could just turn that volume back up there, that's it. You can hear me?
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Okay. There you go. So we had all this technology thrown up at us.
Sometimes, isn't it?
Yes. So, Donna, I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by my own voice in duplicate and, in fact, triplicate, that we're neighbours.
Yes. We're all up here in Katoomba.
Yep.
And our headquarters, and you have your beautiful space, which is behind you.
Yes.
And we're literally right next door. Our headquarters are here in Katoomba as well.
I love that. I love that I can ask you these questions in situ, in fact, not only through electronic means. I can actually talk to you live and ask you questions, as I have done on numerous occasions. And on this particular occasion, we're going to be talking about the differences between men's and women's skin, but also men's skincare in particular. Surely one would think that skin is skin.
Overall, skin is skin, but as we sort of discussed, the big difference between men and women's skin is men actually have a lot more collagen in their skin.
Yeah.
So once that testosterone starts to kick in, men actually start having a lot more collagen than women.
Yeah.
So what that means is their skin is thicker. So their skin's thicker. And I know you're waiting to show that graph eventually.
We're going to show the graph at some stage.
It is thicker. So it's thicker. It's a bit more resistant. Not quite so sensitive. So usually men don't have as many sensitivity issues as women can. That doesn't say they don't, but just typically speaking, what this means also as well, men have a lot more pores, have more pores in their skin.
Yeah.
So you have the hair, the facial hair, you have the pores, and that's also typically why men, especially teenage men, tend to get more acne than women. So there's more pores, your skin is more oily.
Yeah.
So you don't tend to see men with quite as dry skin typically. So the other, when you come to the aging part of things, because men have more collagen, then there's also a lot more for them to lose, meaning that as you age, men's skin usually tends to look more firm. You don't have the sagging skin that women can get if they're not taking care of their skin as much. And also, this is probably, yes, he's a perfect example, Con. You're looking fabulous. I mean, women tend to put a lot more effort into their skin with products, hydrating, boosting collagen, where men still should do that with their skin, but they don't have to quite as much to a certain degree, which is probably why men sometimes tend to neglect their skin.
Is it true that men have more sebaceous glands? Is it per square centimeter on their yeah.
So they have more pores, they have more sebaceous glands, which is also why men tend to have oilier skin, because they just have more pores to produce that. So overall, skin is similar. There's just a few different things that men, when you're, working with men, how their skincare will be tailored a bit differently. They're not going to have typically you're not going to have to create all completely new skincare. It's just what you want to focus on, and will be a bit different. And I guess one thing you probably didn't focus on is who we are. So while we're talking about this is that's we have a brand of skincare, Dermatonics, and so so although we focus probably very largely on women in our skincare and with who our clinics deal with, they do see men as well. So it's very important to talk about how men's skin differ and how we can treat it differently, or how we can focus on them for products. So in terms of aging, men will lose collagen. What's interesting, and maybe in a moment we'll show your graph, but men sort of lose their collagen more consistently over time, but at a slower rate. And also they start off with a lot more collagen. Whereas women, they will suddenly, we'll suddenly start to lose our collagen a lot more dramatically when we hit dreaded menopause, right? And so that's why you suddenly see a lot more thinning.
Let's throw that up. That might be a great opportunity to throw up the graph.
If you want to go walk through on, you can walk through it.
Well, I've just noticed immediately that men tend to have, as we say, thicker skin. And it's fairly consistent. I mean, the decline is kind of linear if you look at that graph. But with women, it tends to sort of taper off almost, I won't say exponentially, but there's definitely a curve there.
Pretty close, yeah. Definitely much more rapidly than men once we get a bit older. Yeah.
We're not old.
Yeah, so but what's interesting is that usually, so a man who probably takes care of their skin a little bit better, you'll notice that their skin is going to look phenomenal as they age. So you see lots of older men into their 70s and their 80s, and really, besides some wrinkles and stuff, their skin looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And often they talk about how these actors, which maybe typically actors will take care of their skin a little bit better because they're in front of the spotlight, how they age like a fine wine and they actually look better as they age, so and this would be one of the reasons, is because they're not getting that saggy skin like women do, and they have that collagen that sticks around a bit longer. Now, what can counteract that with some men that don't take care of their skin, or say they're a tradie that is out in the sun quite a lot, is even though they all that extra collagen and much more resilient skin, if they're not taking care of their skin sun-wise and applying SPF, then they can sort of balance themselves down with women and have more wrinkly skin if they're not taking care of their skin. So that's probably one thing that men can take on board as well, is SPF. Like, everybody can, but a lot of men really neglect their SPF.
Can I say then, I mean, it's probably then unjustified, and I've heard a number of men say this, oh my God, all the product that my wife has or my partner has, oh my God, there's all these product. Well, the empirical evidence would suggest that perhaps women need to have a more structured regime around that and make sure that, they're trying to, offset, or at least, retard the process of, skin elasticity and thickness and so on and so forth. And in fact, it's quite justified when in having these.
Yes,
would that be a fair assumption?
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, us women do need a little bit more help with the collagen, boosting it, so getting our own internal cells to not lose the collagen quite so much. So there's a lot of products out there that can either help stop the breakdown of collagen and also increase collagen synthesis in your cells. So that's one end. Also, another reason probably why women will put a lot more effort into their skin is probably, we're a little bit more vain and we want to look, without the wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. However, hormones that come into play. So like we mentioned, testosterone really affects collagen. In terms of pigmentation, women can be affected a lot more with pigmentation. And so, and that has a lot sometimes to do with estrogen. So again,
so is there a decline as a woman ages? Is there a decline in estrogen?
Well, sometimes, like for example, when you look at pregnancy, you get increases in your hormones, and so sometimes will promote pigmentation, but it's just all those changes. And in menopause, your hormones are all over the place, and so quite often people who are prone to melasma, which is one of those pigmentations where you see marks all over, sometimes it comes up as they're a teen and you're starting to get hormones increase. Then there's pregnancy, and then it'll go away, and then you've got menopause. And so hormones quite often play a part in all that. So this is probably another reason why women are putting a lot of effort into their skincare, because of all these things. And because women's skin can sometimes be more sensitive, the quality of the product and the different steps and what you put in there are important. Yes, I do agree. Sometimes the number of skincare products that we need to use is a bit unnecessary. But definitely quality products and being vigilant with your skincare. And even men can do this simply, easily. And we can talk about a simple routine for men. Something as simple as washing your face at night can be something, just a simple step that will really improve things, especially with all the pores that men have. So, even though you may not think your face is dirty and you're not wearing makeup, if you're out in the environment, and again, especially I'll pull out, tradies who are out in the dust and the sun and the dirt, it's really important to actually get a cleanser that will really clean out the pores, as opposed to just a face wash, which is better than nothing. But to do something that's at the next step, then investing in a good cleanser is a great step to include.
What about, and I've heard this quite a bit, what about men that say, look, we shave, so that in a way is a form of exfoliation, for want of a better term. We're removing that upper layer of skin, the upper epidermis, if you like, and therefore the sort of cleaning routine and the regime that ladies go through, and they use all these, they use witch hazel and this micellar water and cotton pads and all this sort of stuff, and to try and remove pollutants and dust and grime and things just from the day. I mean, you don't have to be doing anything in particular. You don't have to be working out on a building site or be a gardener or anything like that to accumulate all this dirt and toxins and whatever. So men don't actually get off. They don't actually get off scot-free. They have to use something, you would suggest. I mean, I use your cleanser, and I swear by it. I think it's beautiful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so that's to a certain degree, shaving will be a certain form of exfoliation. However, you're not shaving your forehead,
That's right.
and also the shaving, depending on how you do it, and you want to make, I'm sure you'll have some tips on the best way to shave, is that, you want to be very gentle with the skin, because sometimes shaving can actually really irritate their skin. So there's steps that you can before and after that, even though you are kind of doing that exfoliation, that you're treating the skin properly before and after, so you don't get irritation and all this. But the skin still needs another way of exfoliation. It's doing it gently to lift all the dead cells all around the face. So think of like around your nose, on your forehead. So it's to do a good exfoliation. And same with beards. And then that's another subject on, is getting into that beard and taking care of that properly.
So this T-zone that we talk about, the forehead and the nose, that whole area, and where some people have blackheads and have a build-up of, as we said, this sebaceous, these oils, these natural oils that our body and our skin secretes in an attempt to protect it, I would imagine. These things need to be cleaned. I mean, you can't just have it. You can't just expect to sort of waltz through the year not washing your face with deliberate, So it is very, very important, isn't it?
It is. And if it's something as simple as, like everybody probably likes a simple routine, if we can, I know a lot of men like a simple routine, busy mums want a simple routine. So, if we think of something very easy that we can have in the shower with us, it's great, because as you have your shampoo in your hair and you got that in there for a minute and you do a quick wash over of your face, something like a foaming cleanser that's not too harsh is great for in the shower, because then I know some people don't like a foaming cleanser because it's a bit messy, but then if you're in the shower, then it's easy to clean off, and so that's something that's a really easy tip, is a foaming cleanser in the shower. Easy, extra minute in your routine to do a quick cleanse. If you've got a cloth with you, it helps exfoliate a bit more. So I think for men, because they tend to have slightly oilier skin, slightly thicker skin, it's usually a bit more resilient. I would recommend a foaming cleanser for most men.
Right. And so what you would suggest is, on entering the shower, you just wet your face, apply the cleanser, and then leave it for a little bit, or is it wash off immediately?
You need to leave it on with a foaming cleanser. You probably do a quick, bit of a massage, and then you can wash it off. And you can do this while, like, say you're using conditioner in your hair or beard. Say you're putting conditioner, and quite often, they want you to put a conditioner in, leave it for a minute or so. That's a great point to put a cleanser on. That's when I do it in the shower. So when
Paul Phillips, one of our viewers here, said the shower is the best place for a facial scrub. There you go.
Totally. And exactly, that's a fantastic point, because if you do have a scrub that has particles, then that way as well, when you're washing it off, you're not making a disaster in the bathroom that your partner may, really, have some explicitives about if you're making a big mess. But that's the great thing about a shower for things like exfoliation and cleansing, is it's a great step to get a good clean, and then it all gets washed away, and it's nice and clean and tidy.
Okay, so let's talk briefly about the face cloth. You suggested that using it to try and get in there and really remove all the dirt and grime from your skin.
Yeah. You don't want to be harsh, because sometimes, there'll be all these scrubbing sponges and stuff that are a bit more, but I think even just a normal cloth, it just gives a little bit more texture that's going to help exfoliate. So even just with the cleanser, to help exfoliate the face and really get in there and help clean out. So I find, and I get my son to do this. My son is 9. See, with him, he's still quite young, so he actually uses a gentle cleanser.
Right.
I like a gentle cream cleanser. But I get him to use a cloth, so he knows that's one of the first things he does in the shower. He gets his hair wet, puts the shampoo in, gets the cleanser, and he's using the cloth. So, to getting him to that good habit at a young age.
So once we're done with that cloth or the sort of the towel, do you suggest using a new one next time? Do you put that in the laundry and then go again? Or I mean, because this is a thing.
Yeah, I would recommend a clean cloth every time. So
every time, good.
No, I would definitely recommend that, because as you wash off stuff on your face and say it sits in the shower, all that bacteria and gross stuff is going to breed over the next 24 to 48 hours whenever you have your next shower. So definitely a good idea to.
So if you've got that face towel in the shower that's been there since Easter of last year, you're probably better off just changing it up a bit, using it. Okay, so that's very important. Now, of course, we were going to talk briefly about shaving as well. Now, that is a very hostile activity. You're taking off skin, and it can be quite harsh. And so preparation obviously is key. The way I prepare, of course, is just to wash the face, cleanse. So before I shave, okay, you don't want to be shaving on unclean skin.
Yeah.
Okay. Firstly, because you're using a razor blade, you're going to have micro abrasions. Exactly. If you've got any other foreign materials there, I mean, you could get infections, you could get all sorts of things, rashes and whatever. So it's very important that you do that. But I think, so cleansing firstly, which is what I do, and then using a really high quality shave soap or whatever with great slickness will obviously assist in that.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important, is that you have something in there while you're shaving.
Yeah.
It'll help reduce the irritation and just reduce the damage that you're doing underneath there. Mm-hmm.
What about with things like, and I've often recommended to our customers when they get, the technical term is pseudofolliculitis. It's sort of like razor bumps and burns and ingrown hairs and all this sort of thing. And of course, that has to do with not moisturizing the skin. That's one of the problems that we find, or that we have the hair, if they use a cartridge razor, is cut beneath the skin and it struggles, the hair struggles to, the follicle struggles to push back through and then starts to curl on itself. Yeah. And you have these razor bumps and, causing all sorts of discomfort. Post-shave, we recommend a very light balm. Are you in agreement with that?
I agree. So something like a balm or an oil, like a face oil or a beard oil, that will help moisturize it, calm it. And also if that balm or oil can have some anti-inflammatories in it, just to help calm things down, because anything with that itis at the end is inflammation. So, I mean, obviously there's stuff going on. You want to calm down that inflammation, and also, like you said, prevent infection. So definitely something like a balm or an oil is really great post-shaving, because also that may potentially irritate the skin a bit less than a cream, because sometimes creams, although they have lots of great actives, they can be irritating if you have that exposed skin or so I think post-shaving, a balm. I know the days, like, I don't know how much tonics are big, because I know if you think of, Home Alone, when he goes and shaves his face and throws on this stuff and he goes, So they're good for tightening the skin, but sometimes you have to watch at how much irritation is happening. Yeah. So
I hear this quite a bit. People say, look, I've got really, really sensitive skin. And of course, my question is this just what you think about your skin, or have you been told this professionally? Have you sought professional advice? Because all skin is sensitive. And if you want to irritate your skin, you can quite easily do it. Okay, all our skin is sensitive. It's a sensitive kind of thing, right? And I'm just wondering what that means when people say that. I mean, I know, as far as I'm concerned, I immediately see that there's probably preparation needs to be a little bit better. You need to cleanse the skin. You need to make sure that you're using a high quality shaving cream, a soap, or an oil if that's your thing. And so preparation is key, but also post shave is equally important. Yeah.
Because if you just sit there and shave your skin, dry it with a towel and off you go, then you're not really helping your skin very much. You need to replace a bit of that nourishment for your skin. Because also, and because men's skin does have more pores and is a bit more oily, if you then exfoliate it so much, so shaving, if you shave it quite harshly, your skin's going to be like, oh, I'm a bit dry, and so it's
Yeah.
going to be trying out all this oil, which is where problems probably come into
Yeah.
place. For example, a lot of teenage boys that start shaving, and you start seeing a lot of that acne, and it just gets this vicious cycle. It kind of goes against what people may think, that
Yeah.
so if you have oily skin, well, why would I put oil on my skin? It's about replacing with the right oil. So if you cleanse your skin properly, shave, hydrate it properly with the proper moisturizer or oil, then you're going to be helping to balance that skin, and your skin's not going to be trying to force excess oil. So
So
that's
it's a negative feedback loop.
exactly.
Yeah.
Skin's like, oh, I need more oil. And so it's going to overproduce. And that's what happens with acne a lot. And that's why getting into a really good routine with acne prone skin is key. So you're constantly cleansing with the right cleanser, treating with a spot treatment of some sort, and then hydrating and nourishing, so that you are trying to get that skin back to a balance.
Is skin sensitivity and irritation and all these problems that are associated, particularly with shaving, is it inflammation by another name?
Oh, yeah, inflammation has a bazillion other names. So acne, with a lot of skin concerns, inflammation tends to be at the base of it. So even things like rosacea, you have psoriasis, eczema, acne, they all have a component of inflammation. So even though, say, acne might be because of there's bacteria, but then there's inflammation because of all that bacteria gets caught up, and it's basically causing a response and inflammation. So inflammation is a part of a lot of things in skin.
We're talking to Dr. Donna Marçal from Dermatonics, who what she doesn't know about inflammation is probably not worth knowing. She probably knows a lot about glycolysis and the Krebs cycle as well, but we won't go into that because that was likely to bore you to tears. And if you tear up, then you'll have to rehydrate, which is exactly what I'm going to do, Donna. I'm just going to have a glass of water because now tell me,
Yes.
is hydrating from the inside also important for skin?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very important. So, if they're saying, drink your liter of water a day, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Totally. Because so if you're, waking up and having the first thing that goes into your mouth is a coffee, and then, you walk outside, you meet your mates and you have another coffee. And so you've had all this coffee. And although that is, liquid, you've got to make sure you're drinking your water. And then, in the evening, crack open a beer or a glass of wine or a whiskey. You've got to make sure you're drinking water as well, because all those
What
things.
do you mean whiskey?
Whatever your beverage or libation of choice is. So those things, in moderation, those things are fine, but you got to make sure you're balancing with water,
Yeah.
because then your skin will tell. Like, your skin will be a telltale sign, especially your hands. If those are all dried out, your skin is screaming that it needs more hydration. So yes, you need to replace with good skincare that will absorb and provide hydration. You've got to do it from the inside as well. And so, we could get into a whole conversation of this, but that's where even things like diet come into place. That you could have the best skincare in the world, but if you're not treating yourself from the inside well, you're wasting your money. So you have to be, doing everything from the inside as well. So 100%, water is very important to make sure you're drinking throughout the day. And if you do love coffee and you do love a drink in the evening, that's fine. Just make sure you're drinking some water along with it to help out your skin. Because
this is not coffee with con, this episode, where this is why I've deliberately decided to go for H2O. I mean, it's an essential part of life. Look, I heard some anecdotal stories, some anecdotes about hydrating yourself before you shave, and I attempted to do this and saw whether there was a sort of a visible or a marked improvement in my shaves. And so I did this for some time and found that it actually did make some difference. Now, I don't know whether that was my mind playing tricks, whether it was some form of placebo or something, but what I would do before I would shave is I would make sure that I'd have a decent glass of water about 30 minutes, 40 minutes before I would shave. See, the temptation is to get up in the morning and have a cup of coffee. Well, of course, that is a diuretic that dehydrates you. So if I'm going to have a cup of coffee, I should have 2 glasses of water perhaps to try and get some balance back. And I found that my shaves were a little bit better. And this is why I asked you about this whole hydrating from the inside as well as the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, because also all throughout the night you've been sleeping. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I understand sometimes life gets hectic, but if you jump out of bed, straight into
Yeah.
the shower, then your body hasn't had a chance to get up and move around and get that hydration through. So yeah, ideally, if people do have time, then if you can get up, have a drink of water, get moving around a bit, then get into the shower
Yeah.
and do a bit of prep, you'll probably find, your shaves will be a bit better for sure.
And there are men also that like to shave at night for that very reason. They've hydrated through the day. And I was a bit skeptical at first. And I thought, hang on a second, I shall experiment on myself, and did this and found that there was a marked improvement. There was an improvement, a sort of a discernible difference.
Before and afters, or done some scans of your face, then that would have been interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. There you go.
I think we can definitely yes, might have to look into that. If anyone's got any questions, type them down below. We've got a few people saying hello. What have we got? Paul Phillips is on there. Paul Creasy. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining the live. It's very kind of you to join the live. I think we have Leon as well. Yes, hello, Con and Donna. There you go. You see, Donna, she's really thank her for joining us on this live. We might do this again at some stage.
More often, yes. I know we kept talking about it. Now we finally have done it.
Yes,
and we'll do
we
more.
have to do it. Yeah. I guess the line of work that what you're doing is, there's science in everything, but there is actually a very deliberate, everything that Dermatonics does is guided by robust scientific principles and so on. There's testing and all the rest of it. What we do involves science, definitely, but there has to be, there's kind of a meeting of those two where you have, people think that shaving is a thing, it's a routine, it's something that needs to be done, it's part of the day for some people, and others, of course, don't want to shave at all, but that's another thing. But there is science in all of it, and so and quite often I wonder when I'm asked questions. When things like oily skin, that's fairly standard now, that if you keep drying your skin out, the body's going to keep saying, listen, we don't have enough oil, let's produce more oil, which of course is a barrier. It's it's the first line of defense for your skin, of course. But there's a lot of, I'm interested particularly in the cleansing side of things, because that I think is where it all begins, where that whole process begins.
Yep. And there's even, you're probably even seen memes going around. That's my 9-year-old son. He's all about the memes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So if you don't, especially for women, and I know we're talking about men, but especially for women, if you don't wash your makeup off at night and you keep doing that consistently, it can really age your skin. So starting off with a clean, yes, it can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It ages your skin. So if that's one thing, again, cleansing, it just gives you a clean canvas. Because if you are putting on a high quality moisturizer over top of skin that has a layer of what you don't see, dust, whatever, residual, whatever, then it's blocking some of it, and also you don't know how whatever's getting into your skin, because you're almost trying to push it through your skin. But the skin will have a barrier of what goes through it. But cleansing, if there's two things that men can do, there's probably more that I want them to do, but if you can cleanse an SPF, your skin will look fantastic. If you can cleanse, moisturize an SPF, that's even better.
Yeah. Look, I've seen these rather horrific these micrographs of little mites and things that live on your eyelid and live on your face. Yeah. They look kind of scary. They look like something that Frank Herbert, that wrote Dune, would write about. It's like those huge, sort of some sort of sci-fi monster. And these things are living on your skin.
Yeah. So
try and get rid of them from time to time, please.
Yeah, that prevents that from happening. So if you're doing a regular cleanse, that's not going to happen, because they're going to get washed away quite easily. Yeah.
Right. Paul has a question here for you. He says, is there such thing as too much product, too much moisturizer, too much facial scrub, too much cleanser?
I agree. Probably not so much for the moisturizer. And it depends on what's in the moisturizer and how heavy the moisturizer is. If there's a lot of silicons, now silicons are not all bad, but if you have a moisturizer that's quite heavy and you're putting lots on, it can become comedogenic, meaning it it can actually promote acne. You can over exfoliate, and that gets talked about a lot. So really you only need to exfoliate maybe twice a week. Really that's sufficient. So yes, you can over exfoliate, can over scrub. So that's one step for sure. But in terms of like over oiling or over hydrating, not necessarily, but something, being too harsh on the skin is one thing that we can do too much of. So, even if women or men go in for treatments and they're going in for certain treatments that redo the surface, and you do that too much,
Yeah.
it can actually be quite irritating. So yes, so depending on your skin and how sensitive it is or how resilient it is, there's different kinds of exfoliants. So if you tend to have skin that's a bit more sensitive, something like an enzyme-based cleanser that's a bit more gentle is good. If you have, like, men may like an actual physical scrub a bit better because their skin is a bit thicker and is a bit oilier, so they may prefer more of a physical scrub, like an actual scrub that has particles. But really, it only needs to be done a couple of times a week. And this goes for beards as well. If you want to get in and exfoliate the beard and get some of that dead skin that's stuck in there, a couple of times a week really is sufficient.
Right. I hope that answers your question, Paul. Paul's middle name is Handsome, so he's a very handsome, very very handsome man. Look, it is very very important. I know that men tend to neglect their skin, and there was a whole stigma associated with, look, if I'm looking after my skin, then I'm not, your man's man. That's changed, thankfully. That has definitely shifted.
People have certainly started looking at their skin a different way, and men. And I guess the thing is, and I saw this somewhere where, is men's skincare really that different from women's? So the actual skincare is not that different. It's just choosing the products that are more appropriate for yours. And also, some of the packaging, because obviously some of the packaging for main skincare is very pretty and girly, and maybe you don't want that sitting on your shelf, and we get that. And a lot of men's skincare, that's where that comes from. Tweaking the ingredients a little bit, changing the packaging, also the fragrance. Obviously men may like a different bit of a scent than a woman. And the moisturizer can probably be a little bit lighter. So just really, it's not drastically different from women. So if you're using, we know several friends of mine or clinic partners' husbands where, they're stealing their wives', beauty elixir, and they love it.
Wow.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Nothing wrong with stealing anyone's elixir. It's one of my little side things. No, it's not. No, it's not. Please don't. I don't want people DMing me and saying, "What is it that you're stealing?" That's look, I've really enjoyed today.
Yeah,
I think we should do this again. It was by means of an introduction, actually, to be brutally honest, try and get people to see that there's more to life, particularly with men shaving, than just picking up a razor and a soap and going for it. I think it's critically important, but I think the takeaways from here is that we need to hydrate both inside and out, make sure we cleanse and we moisturize our skin, and the SPF. Now, that seems to be a big thing of yours, isn't it, the SPF?
Yeah. And that's one thing, like I said, that's one thing that brings like all the extra collagen that men have. That's one thing that bring men's skin down to the level of where women's skin as they're older, because they don't take care of that, of this. They're not as sun smart as women can be with their SPF, because if they're going to a skin clinic and doing all these treatments, that's one thing that their therapist will harp on about is SPF, SPF, SPF. Right. So, yeah.
I think we should do a live on SPFs, and perhaps even talk about some of the horrible things that are in some SPF products. I know there's some really horrible ingredients.
And we can talk about ones to stay away from, and ones that are for sure we could certainly do, especially with summer coming up.
Yeah. I think it's
done.
Very. We've got one question here. What is beauty of scent? Here it is. What is SPF?
Sun protection factor. So it's SPF is a factor that is used to determine the level of protection that you have, or how long you can stay out in the sun without burning. So you'll see here a lot of SPF is 50, because that's kind of the regulation now, is for it to, you cannot sell. So the days of banana boat oil that's like a 4 SPF are gone. I think they are available. you can still get those products, but they are not allowed to be called a sunblock. And that's where the regulations have come in, is that you can have, you're allowed to say, like, say Banana Boat can have a product that has an SPF of 4, but they're not allowed to call it even a sunscreen or sunblock or whatever. You're not allowed to call it that until it's a 50, because that's what's actually going to protect your skin for a reasonable amount of time and protect from burning. Yep.
There we are. Beauty of scent. I hope that helps. So it's a factor, and we need to look at least 50. You're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some products out there on the market that are still 30, and that's better than nothing. They're just not allowed to be called a sunblock. And often, so one of the challenges I know that some of our beauty therapists have is compliance. So the thing is, you'll tell your client to wear a sunscreen. However, they don't want to wear it because it's cakey. And that's because zinc-based sunscreens, and we'll leave this for the next talk, are sort of the better ones, but they can get quite cakey. So So it's a balance of having an effect.
There's also a smell to them. There's a smell to SPF, I found.
Yeah, they don't smell great. But do you want skin cancer or not? So
I think I'll go for not smelling great over skin cancer. Thank you.
So this is the thing is that it's finding that right sweet spot where your sunscreen is not too cakey, yet it's still effective. And that's the whole, we're aiming on launching. We don't have a sunscreen in our range yet, but it's something that we're adding very soon to our range. We're just in the final stages, because again, it is tricky to get it just that right so that people will wear it and like it and it's effective. And it has to be TGA listed as well. So that's the thing.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the people that have tuned in. Some of them are coming on now and saying hello and all the rest of it. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry you couldn't get to all of your comments, but I'm so pleased that you could join us, Donna, and I will hold you to it. You have to come back and we can talk about specific. And in fact, if you have any questions, perhaps you can put them down below if you're on Facebook or on YouTube or wherever it is. And I shall collate those questions and we'll make a show of it. What do you think of that?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. Well, that's it from us. We'll see you in the next live, folks. Bye-bye.